Okay, hello everyone, MeanSpeed here with another video. So today I'm going to do something a bit different. I should probably explain. Basically, I have been trying to play and record the game lately because I have had a few new ideas for videos, because obviously I finished up all those weapon videos I was doing with the best ones and the worst ones, stuff like that. But yeah, I've basically had some connection and internet problems lately, so I thought let's do something different. Let's do something where I don't have to be in the game, but I can still talk about the game. So, yeah, so today I'm going to be doing a tier list on all the abilities in Battlefield Heroes. Now, obviously, tier lists are pretty popular. A lot of people do them on different things, and obviously games are no exception. So, I thought it'd be kind of interesting to do one for Battlefield Heroes, because I'm pretty sure it hasn't been done before. I mean, it's Battlefield Heroes, so it probably hasn't been. So, yeah, and obviously, if this goes well, I can just do these types of videos, when there's downtime or when I feel like it. And there's obviously different parts of the game that I can do this for. It's not just going to be limited to a few things. But I thought I'd start with the abilities, because actually those videos I was trying to record in the game were going to be based around abilities. But yeah, I'll probably go back to that at some point when, the internet and the connection isn't terrible. So yeah, it goes around saying, obviously, a tier list. I mean, this is going to be like my opinion. I'm not here to say that any of these abilities are terrible, because they're not. All of these are pretty useful in some way. I just do find some of them are, to me, more appealing and, stand out more than some of the others. So, obviously, some of these things are going to be easy choices for me. Some of these are going to be kind of difficult, in terms of where I'm going to place stuff. But I do kind of want to get things, I guess, even in a way. I don't really want to put stuff like too many things at the top. But yeah, so let's start now. So burning bullets, I'm going to put in C tier. The reason for that is because, I mean, I do use burning bullets quite a lot, actually. And, it does have its uses. It's, nice damage over time that you can use with any SMG, essentially. And, being able to hit people from range with a damage over time attack is quite nice. But yeah, there are just so many ways to counter it, really. I mean, there's the fireproof underpants. That's an ability that's made entirely to counter this ability, and yeah, that's not too great. Obviously, you got the fact that other abilities in the game can obviously block the damage and stop the damage and stuff. Widgets as well, like bandages and stuff like that. And even something as simple as just swimming in water, jumping in water, will actually stop the effect. So yeah, there are a lot of ways to stop this, and I don't find it makes that much of a difference in a fight, really. But it is still kind of interesting, and obviously it is good as well for getting points as well. It can help in that regard, especially if you have like a fast SMG and you basically spray like a whole group of people with burning bullets on 5. You do notice like a lot of damage numbers. It's just it's kind of hard to say whether you're actually damaging them, and because of all the ways I've just said to sort of negate the damage and prevent it and stuff. But yeah, you do still get a lot of points with it, so that's why I'm not putting it like at the very bottom. But yeah, okay, hero shield. So I'm going to put it in B tier. Some people might think I'm crazy for some of these choices, shield included, because I know shield is not, well, at least not in the old game. I don't remember it being too popular. A lot of people from memory just had it on level 1, and some people didn't even use it at all. So, yeah, but I do like it. I've used it a lot over the years, obviously. Yeah, also, for any setup, essentially. But I did primarily use it when I was using, like, shotguns. Like a, dual shotgun setup, like a short range and a long range. And I think, if you are using weapons like that, you're kind of drawn to the shield, because obviously frenzy fire can't work with shotguns, so you sort of, you're locked out of one ability there, so it's like you're more inclined to choose that. But yeah, hero shield's really good. I really like it. Obviously, being able to, get like 60 health back, well, not back, but like to block 60 damage on a gunner, at level 5 is pretty insane, considering you've already got a lot of health to begin with. And yeah, also the cooldown time at level 5 is actually, I believe, the fastest cooldown of any ability in the game. It's like 8 seconds. So obviously, once the shield has been destroyed, if you use another ability or a widget or something else to get the ability to basically go on cooldown again, that's not really a long wait before you can use it again. So yeah, that's pretty nice to have, I think. And obviously, you know, the team play aspect as well, because of obviously the shield wasn't always like this, but in the Heroes of the Fall update in 2009, you know, when shield was changed to be an ability that could be shared with teammates, I think that helped it a lot. And obviously nowadays it's like, you know, you can use it in different ways. If you want to be a solo player, you can obviously use it to help yourself out, but obviously if you got teammates by you as well, it's a nice team play ability. So yeah, but I'm not going to put it any higher than this, because obviously, you know, you guys probably do know of the shield bug and stuff like that. You know, moments in the past where it doesn't always activate, and there have been some issues with it. And yeah, I just think, you know, it's not, to me, as interesting as some of the others, but I still rate it pretty highly, and I've used it quite a lot. Okay, so Blasting Strike. There we go. Next one. Okay, yeah, I should probably explain this. Blasting Strike. What can I say? It's one of the best abilities in the entire game. Yeah, it's an offensive ability. It's a defensive ability. It can do a lot, basically. I mean, anyone that plays soldier is going to have this ability. It's insane. You know, the fact that you can send someone flying away from you that might be a threat to you. You can send someone into a wall, into a house, something like that, and you can, you know, do a lot of damage to them, sometimes get an instant kill. Most of the time, really, something like that. So yeah, it is really good. Obviously, you know, again, the cooldown time's pretty generous. It can be quite troublesome to deal with multiple people using Blasting Strike. So yeah, it is a really good ability. Good counter to a lot of threats in the game. Obviously, commandos using knives, gunners getting up close and stuff like that. And yeah, it just does a lot well. And you're not going to find a soldier that isn't using it. It's going to be really difficult, to be honest, because just of how good it is. And I think you don't even have to play soldier to realize how strong it is, because you'll just be facing people that are using it a lot. So yeah, pretty insane in all respects, really. Like as an attacking option, and also as a defensive option, it's just really top tier. Okay, Combat Medicine. That's going to join Blasting Strike. It's supposed to be a team play, you know, team play ability and everything like that. But you know, it can be used on yourself for a pretty generous self heal, but also, you know, obviously the more people that are around it, the better, and the more health you're going to get and everything like that. So yeah, that's pretty nice. I think that's a pretty nice thing to have. And yeah, just again, it's like an instant heal. It's going to be really powerful the more people are around it. And I think again the cooldown time is pretty generous on this. So yeah, it's just overall really solid ability. Again, something that a lot of people are going to have maxed out pretty early on. If you're a soldier that doesn't have this fully maxed, then you're doing something wrong, because, you know, it's not even like one of those things where it's like, you know, you have to be a team player to use it. It can be really helpful even for like those selfish people that want to, you know, camp on their own or whatever. So yeah, there's no reason not to have it. And yeah, just really useful overall. And the health that you get back is pretty insane as you increase it. Especially like it's noticeable on commandos and stuff as well, because obviously they've got less health. I think they do appreciate, you know, getting a fair amount of health back and stuff like that. So yeah, I do think Combat Medicine is pretty good. Okay, Keg. I'm debating with Keg. I think I'm going to put it in B tier. I think that's what I'm going to do. The reason for that, I would put it higher, but I guess, you know, I've said this is going to be some personal stuff as well. The Keg, for me, you know, I don't always get it to work. When I can get it to work, it is very good. You know, you do get a lot of cool moments with it and stuff. You know, you can do some good damage there, but in my case, again, this is probably more on the player, but a lot of times I've got moments where, like, I'll throw the Keg and it won't go where I want it to. There'll be like a physics problem or whatever. I'll throw it off a wall or something else, and yeah, it just won't land where I want it to. And obviously, as well as that, is the fact that IEG is pretty common in a lot of games. So yeah, obviously, there's a lot of moments where I go to think this is a great moment to blow up, you know, a group of people or do a lot of damage, whatever. And yeah, there'll be some form of IEG, so it's kind of useless basically. So, and that can be quite discouraging when you're using like 5 hero points in an ability to then get denied like that. But yeah, I still put it fairly high because honestly, it is still pretty nice. That got changed in that update, like the shield did as well. So obviously you could slow people down, which was nice. That's quite useful to have, especially on stuff like commandos in stealth. If they get hit by it, you can still see that purple aura and stuff like that. So it's got a lot of uses. Slowing people down in general is pretty good. It makes them an easier target and stuff. But obviously back in the day there was that fire effect, which is quite cool as well. So, but obviously nowadays there's a different keg that has that infamous burn effect. But yeah, so I don't know. I think for me personally, that's where it's going to go. I think if I'd had a lot more cool moments with it maybe, or if I'd done more with the keg, I'd put it higher up. But yeah, like I said, this is just my opinion really. I mean, I think some people would probably go for putting it a bit higher up, but for me personally, I'm not saying it's bad, but yeah, I just don't really get as much out of it as I'd like. So yeah. Okay, so Elixir, I'm going to put this in A tier. And you might think that's a bit strange, but the thing is, I think a commando needs the shield a lot more than a gunner does, because the commando has a lot less health. And if you think about it, Elixir is basically two abilities in one. It's hero shield and it's Legget. So yeah, obviously, a combination of those two is pretty insane, pretty nice to have. The shield can help you out in some situations just to give you a bit of extra health. If you have been hit by something like burning bullets, or you're just trying to get out of a tough situation, that can help. That shield. The extra speed is nice as well, because obviously the commandos are pretty fast class to begin with, but having that extra speed does help in a lot of situations. And also it can really complement any setup you use. So if you're using a knife, obviously you can use that to make yourself a bit harder to hit, a bit more of an annoyance in the fight and stuff like that, and to get close to people. Obviously, if you're using like a sniper rifle, you can use that to escape pretty easily if someone spots you or whatever. So there are a lot of situations where you can use Elixir, and I think it does sort of complement a lot of abilities as well. But yeah, a lot of other weapons and stuff like that and setups you can go for. So yeah, definitely pretty high. I do rate it pretty high. Okay, Frenzy Fire. Frenzy Fire for me is a definite S rank. Definitely, I think a lot of people would say this. Again, with the other abilities I've put up here, I mean, it's difficult to find a gunner that isn't using this. Obviously, if you're using 2 shotguns, you can't use it. But yeah, most of the time people are going to be using Frenzy Fire. It's insane. The fact that you can get health back is really nice to keep the gunner alive for longer, and yeah, it works really well with the fast machine gun, just to get health back really quickly. Obviously, again, this was kind of like a pretty underwhelming ability back in the day before that update in late 2009, because Frenzy Fire was just basically an accuracy increase. It wasn't like how it is today. So it basically went from being kind of weak. Let's say if it was the old Frenzy Fire, I'd probably put it maybe in C tier, maybe B, but probably C or something, because obviously an accuracy boost is nice, especially on something like a long range machine gun, but most people aren't using it for that. Most people are using it for the health that you get back, and it's just survivability aspect of it. So it did get a pretty huge upgrade back then, and yeah, I just think it's pretty much the strongest gunner ability, and a lot of people would probably agree with that. It is pretty insane. Okay, so let's see. Grenade spam. I'm going to put grenade spam in B tier, I think. Grenade spam can be good. The damage can be pretty good. My main issue with it is the fact that, like, if you want to upgrade it even further, and technically upgrading something should make it better, right? Well, obviously with grenade spam, the higher you advance it, the more grenades you're going to throw, which isn't really ideal because it means they're more spread out. You're not going to get like a focused area of damage as such. So yeah, I think in most cases you're better off having a lower level of grenade spam, just to get everything sort of more concentrated and the damage is more impactful perhaps. But yeah, and again, like with the keg, you can come into situations where there's a lot of IEG, and you kind of get denied quite a lot. You could argue that the keg obviously takes more setup and stuff. Grenade spam's obviously just a simple, you just throw it wherever you want. But the keg, you're gonna have to, shoot it to explode it with like a tank buster or shotgun, something like that. So, I'd say grenade spam's obviously easier to use and stuff like that. But I don't know. I just think, because of what I've just said there, it's not really going to go any higher for me. It can still be good, obviously. The damage can be pretty good. If you sort of don't really, there are moments where you sometimes don't realize there are grenades on the ground. So, yeah, you kind of like take loads of damage out of nowhere and you just wonder what's happened. But, yeah, so grenade spam, if you don't notice the grenades, is pretty good. It can be nice with a single hand grenade as well. But, yeah, for me personally, I don't use it on a high level, and I don't really use it that much anyway, so I'm not going to put it much higher than that. Okay, IEG, I'm going to put that in A tier. IEG is insane. The fact that you can block, basically any explosive in the game for a short period of time, and also get health back for it, is really nice. As well as that, taking on stuff like tanks, being able to absorb the, the tank shells. So you only have to worry about, not getting hit by the tank, as in like getting, run over by it or whatever. That's really nice to have. Obviously, IEG has gone over some changes, undergone some changes. I'm trying to think when it was. I think it was like 2012. IEG was changed so that basically it wasn't as good. It's still really good today, but it's one of those things where you look at how good it was before. And I would have potentially put it higher if we were talking about the old IEG, because this might seem counterintuitive, but obviously back in the day, before that got changed, people could have it on level 1 and it would last the same amount of time, basically. You just wouldn't get, as much health back, or the cooldown wouldn't be as good and stuff like that. But the actual duration of it when you had it active was pretty much the same from what I can remember. So that was really good. Obviously, people didn't really feel like advancing it. In most situations, it was just there to sort of block, the occasional grenade or like an RPG shot, stuff like that, because, those kind of things are kind of, difficult to deal with. But yeah, obviously, after that change, it made it so that you kind of forced into putting it on a high level. Otherwise, it wasn't going to have as much strength in regards to, sucking up all those explosives and stuff like that, and those kind of things. And the duration's kind of underwhelming now, but I think overall it's still a really good ability, and it's just again good for team play. A lot of Gunner's kit is actually really good for team play, and this is probably one of the best team play options out there, just to avoid explosives. Okay, Legget. I'm also going to put Legget up there in A tier, just because, again, from a team play perspective, it's really nice to give everyone around you a speed boost, so everyone's essentially running at the same speed. You can get like a group of people to an objective or somewhere else pretty quickly. It's also good, obviously, a good escape option. And if you look at the Gunner, on its own, the Gunner class is really slow, without Legget. When you just think about that, it's just really, really terrible to just walk around with that base movement. So I think in terms of like what it does for the Gunner class in general, it's really nice to have. Really nice to have that extra speed there. And it does go on for quite a while, especially at level 5. So yeah, it's kind of nice to have. I mean, you could argue that some maps don't call for it because they might be, a bit smaller. So it's like, well, you're not really going to need to be using it for as long. I must admit, I don't always have it on 5, but I still have it there in some capacity. But yeah, overall, Legget I think is really good. I do definitely rate it pretty highly. It's good for, a lot of situations, really. Mark target. So I'm going to be mean here, and it's going to be the first one in D tier. Honestly, it's just because, it does its job, but I just find it a bit boring and a bit simple. And, I think compared to all of these, it's probably just the least impactful overall and not as interesting and stuff like that. But, it does have its uses. Obviously being able to mark someone or multiple people, depending on what level it's at, can be good for the Commando in terms of being more of a team player, I suppose. But, I think for the most part, and it is good, you know, to get a commando out of stealth as well. I think that's probably the main selling point overall in doing that. But I think overall, for most situations, it's outclassed by Sixth Sense, and yeah, just not that interesting to me. I mean, it is good for points as well. If you're marking a lot of people, and obviously if it's on 5, you're going to be able to like constantly spam it essentially. If you're marking a lot of people at one time, and your teammates are using like shotguns and stuff, or just like consistently landing hits on the enemy that you're marking and stuff, you're going to get a lot of points, and it is pretty nice to help you level up. I must admit I've done that as well, so it is good in that regard as well. But for me, it's just really not that interesting or like crazy good compared to the others. I think if I wasn't trying to level up, I wouldn't have it past level 1, honestly, as a level 30, for example. So yeah, it just depends, I guess, as well how you're going to use it. So yeah, all right. Continuing on with D tier, I'm going to put Poison Blade there. Yeah, I'm not a fan of this ability. It's probably my least used ability overall, but I'm going to probably say that it's the least used commando ability overall as well. I think most people that play commando don't use knives, so they have no use for it whatsoever anyway. They're probably going to prefer to use a sniper rifle or pistols and stuff like that. But even when I have used knives, I don't really see much point for it. Because I don't play commando as much as some people do, but when I've used knives, I'm really under the impression that I'm either going to stab the guy and he's going to die really quickly, or I'm just going to die. I don't really think, and I haven't seen a lot of situations where like the fight is going to be so drawn out that I'm going to need like that damage over time, and it's not really going to tick over that much, maybe once, if that. So yeah, for me, even though the damage on 5 can eventually rack up to be pretty high, I kind of find it a bit pointless, because obviously burning bullets is different. You know, you can hit it from range. This is kind of, you know, limiting you to being point blank, and yeah, I just don't really see much use for it. I normally just see a knife fight going one way or the other, and I don't think Poison Blade does too much to aid you in getting the win there, quite honestly. But yeah, I mean, not to say it's bad. Honestly, if I'm using a knife, and some other people might have the same idea here, you might not even want to use Poison Blade. You might want to go for like more Elixir and some other abilities to help you out. You might not want to use Poison Blade at all. But yeah, it's also pretty loud. It can draw a lot of attention to you if people are, you know, have their game sounds on and stuff. So yeah, I just don't really like it overall. But like I said, you know, just my thoughts on it. Some people might be able to get success with it and to make it work and to justify, you know, using it a lot. But for me, it's not really my sort of ability. Okay, Piercing Shot. Yeah, that's going to go in A tier for me, honestly. Really good ability, really solid ability. If you're using a sniper rifle, this is almost a must with certain rifles, especially. You know, because it can really increase the damage, and you do notice that a lot on some sniper rifles that aren't really as interesting or as powerful. But yeah, it just does a lot for anyone who wants to use a sniper rifle, because the damage can be insane, like really high, and you do notice that. Negatives though, I mean, it doesn't last very long. The damage increase is really generous, especially as you increase it, but the actual duration of the ability isn't really that high, only a few seconds. So if you miss a few shots, you don't really have a lot of time to work with, you know, to, you know, get that increased damage, which is kind of a shame for certain people. Obviously, again, it depends on the player, you know, and a bit of skill is involved there and other factors. But yeah, I do think, despite that, it is really insane and nice to have. So yeah, if you are going to use a sniper rifle, it's almost a must to have this as well. Another negative though, obviously, again, it does sort of draw attention to you, because you get that, like, you know, that yellow crosshair scope above you, which is kind of annoying. It makes you an easy target, but I don't know. I think it definitely has a good place for anyone who wants to use a sniper rifle, and I definitely would, you know, I think it's justified keeping it at least in A tier. Okay, Sixth Sense. So I'm going to put it in C tier, and I know a lot of people are probably annoyed about that because it's a wall hack. You know, it is literally a free hack in a video game. Imagine that. So yeah, the fact that you can see almost anyone in the game, apart from stealth commandos, is really nice. You know, it's really nice to be able to have that. But yeah, it's kind of difficult for me to give too many reasons why it's not higher, other than the fact that, you know, I just find it a little bit too boring and not as interesting compared to the others that, you know, other abilities the soldier has, for example, because I've already put a few of them pretty high, as you can tell. But yeah, I just think Sixth Sense for me, it's not terrible. None of these are, but to me, it's just not that interesting overall. And you could argue, you know, that there are some maps maybe where you might not even need it so much, because there's a general idea of where the enemy might be depending on how the game is going and stuff like that. Other factors depending on the map size and stuff, but I do think it is still good. But like I said, I do want to try and make this a bit even, try and put more than one thing in a category. So yeah, but and also I should probably say that I don't really find myself using like putting a lot of hero points into it. Again, this is probably sounding counterintuitive from what I've said from other things, but yeah, it's not really something where you ideally want to put all your points in outside of like very specific team scenarios where you have to be, you know, seeing people at all times for whatever reason. But for me, it's just so much better overall to have it on one. Definitely have it there in some capacity, but you don't need to rely on it all the time, and you probably have more fun, you know, taking some of the other abilities a bit higher up there. Okay, stealth. I'm going to put that in A tier as well, I think. Some people would argue it should be higher. I can definitely see that. Stealth is pretty insane. You know, the fact that you can go invisible and basically stay there for an unlimited amount of time unless you decide to attack or someone marks you is pretty crazy. You know, that is nice to have. I will say it's probably the worst ability in the game on level 1. I mean, none of these are good on level 1. Apart from a few, like I said, just then Sixth Sense can be good. Mark target, but yeah, stealth I'd say is probably the worst ability in the game on level 1. The cooldown's terrible. The actual, you know, the invisibility itself isn't very good. Obviously, people are going to spot you quite easily and stuff like that. So in that regard, it's not too great. But as you advance it, honestly, you do start to notice how much better, you know, the range becomes on the invisibility and stuff. And, you know, it does pair well with a lot of other abilities. It really does. You know, piercing shot is a good example. The fact that you can go invisible, you know, line up a shot on someone, then activate piercing shot and start shooting to get, you know, the advantage, you know, of having seen the person first and they've got no idea you're there, is pretty good. Well, it's very good. It's one of the best things in the game, really. But, yeah, stealth, like I said, on its own, good. I wouldn't put it like at the very top, but it is very good. And like I said, does pair well with a lot of abilities, and you can use a lot of abilities while staying in stealth as well. So, for example, one that I haven't talked about yet, Troop Trap. You can actually put down troop traps and stay invisible at the same time. That doesn't force you out of invisibility, so that's pretty insane. There are also other options that you can do and other widgets and stuff you can use as well while staying invisible. So it's got a lot of, you know, uses there, and it can be pretty good. But yeah, I just think for me it should honestly stay there for me personally. Okay, lastly, Troop Trap. I'm going to put that in B tier. Troop Traps, you know, do have a lot of play on certain maps, especially. You know, there are some areas on maps where you can place them, such as archways and stuff like that under certain areas, and if someone walks over that or under that area, they're probably going to get killed instantly or take a lot of damage, something like that. And you know, they can be good to, you know, put on flag points and other objectives, stuff like that. As well as that, you can put them on certain spots on the map where people might not think they're going to be. So you can sort of, I guess, hide them slightly and people will still probably step on them. To be honest, you could put them in obvious spots on the map and people would still step on them, because not everyone's going to pay that much attention. So they are pretty good overall. And obviously the poison effect can be quite good as well. But for me personally, I don't know. For me, I wouldn't put them higher than B. Because, again, it does sometimes depend on the mode and the map. There are some maps where troop traps aren't going to get as much use. You know, some of the bigger maps, I feel, there are a lot of areas that are kind of wasted, you know, and there's not many options, I guess, for where you can put them. But like I said, on certain smaller maps and certain objectives you're going to go for, and some of the archways and stuff, it can be pretty insane. So I'm just going to try and arrange these, I guess, now in terms of how good I think they are. So I don't know, let's see. I'll probably put Troop Trap. I'll put it above Grenade Spam, personally. I think Stealth definitely should go a bit higher along here. Probably something like this, maybe, in terms of usability, maybe. But I know this doesn't matter too much. You know, this is just a bit of fun anyway. But the fact that I've put stuff in A anyway just means they're pretty decent. Doesn't matter where they are. But yeah, I think that's probably it, guys. That's probably what I'd go for. Again, just my opinions, and this isn't really anything too serious. I just thought I'd do this as a bit of something a bit different in the meantime. But yeah, stuff here, like I said, some of this is kind of easy for me to choose from. Stuff like Blasting Strike, I didn't really have to think about it very hard. But there are some other things here that I kind of think maybe I've been a bit too harsh on, and they could go a bit higher or some a bit lower. You know, when I finish this video, I'll probably think, damn it, I should have put this one here. But it is what it is. I'm just going off of what I've thought of here and now for most of it. So yeah, so let me know if you like this. If you do, I'll probably do some more for different parts of the game in this sort of style. And yeah, let me know if you agreed with my choices. Obviously, you know, there are a lot of abilities in the game, and depending on how you play and what you've experienced, you might have different ideas on where the abilities go, basically. So, yeah. And obviously, let me know, you know, if you don't agree with me, let me know, and obviously where you'd place stuff. It'd be quite interesting to know. But, yeah, so I think that was about it. Like I said, might do some of them more of these in the future. You know, until I can get, like, you know, actual gameplay recordings to work again and stuff like that. So, yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.